All right, re-recording this because I had an audio error, so my voice is already kind of gone. I made it even shorter, but I'm having some throat issues today, and it's making this a lot harder. And then I forget a very simple task, and my audio just was not lining up. So we're here with the games I have played for the very first time in 2024 and how they stack up. Some of these are brand new games that came out in 2024, uh, but not all of them. This is for the first time. Hey, I played them for longer than a minute. There are dozens, and I do mean dozens. I actually went through and I had to kind of like organize it based on a lot of stuff. But these are the games brand new to play. Whereas maybe I had played for 30 seconds before, but for 2024, I played for a long time here. Now, there are a lot of games I had to jump off because I do remember playing for 5 minutes, or I have proof that at one point I did play for like a decent amount of time, and even if I don't remember it, I did play it. So it's really unfair for me to say, hey, I played it for the first time when I in fact didn't. So that's where these sit. That's why there's only 40 games here. It was a pretty strict criteria. And I was actually surprised how many games got cut off. Originally, which is just prefacing all this real quick, originally this list was in the hundreds. And maybe I should have gone with that. It would be much more interesting. But a lot of those games are super fucking forgettable. So we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel. Fuck this game. This game is ass. Arc Rivals is a much better thing to talk about. It's a very cool basketball game that I think is reminiscent of like a lot of the basketball games at the time with like NBA Jam and much more like aggressive styling, like where you can like foul and you can do all this stuff. And overall, I do recommend Arch Rivals or Arch Rivals, Arch Rivals, yeah, Arch Rivals. Very enjoyable for the time, and if you're on retro achievements, pretty easy set. Do recommend it. King of the Ring, I think this is, or Ring King, yeah, Ring King maybe. Um, I thought this was gonna be a good game. I saw someone recommended to me a while ago, and I saw someone play it. Uh, this is like 5 years ago at this point. I thought it looked pretty decent, but I just never got around to it. Kind of wish I didn't. Kind of just a waste of space game, is how I would put it. Nothing too special. Excuse me. We have Vampire Masquerade or the Dark Vampire. It's the Castlevania clone for Sega. It's actually pretty good, but it's nothing too out there. If it was a clone of the newer Castlevanias, I'd say it's fantastic. But guess what? It's not. It's the older ones. And we have King Colossus, which I'm gonna be really honest, probably gonna be an S tier. My S tier is only gonna have 5 games in it. We'll see if it's gonna win that spot, but uh, I do think King Colossus is really really good. If you haven't played it, it's a Zelda like with some RPG elements, like stricter RPG elements. A lot of the bosses are entertaining. A lot of the dungeons are really fun. There's only one bad dungeon, but hey, I've played a lot of Zelda games. There goes my phone, by the way. Um, I just hit it when it was on the side over here. But I played a lot of Zelda games with more than one shitty dungeon. Overall, just I think King Colossus is really good. Blade Master, I don't remember shit about it, so it has to be mid as fuck. Fatal Labyrinth, how roguelikes used to be. I think there's something inherently special about Fatal Labyrinth. It's really weird. I played Dragon Crystal Built 4 2024, but I never played Fatal Labyrinth, which is apparently the apex of that idea for the time. And it's fun. I there's nothing I can really state anymore without like fully investing in exploring all the different facets of the game, how gear is oriented, how combat actually feels very, very fair, but also at the same time roguelike enough to be punishing. It's very odd to explain, but that's all I got. We have the Tick, which is a beat 'em up I played. It's okay. We have Bleach Hit the Soul 1 through 6 here. We're going to quickly go through them because there is a proper order to these things. We have, we'll say it's better than that. Chad is miserable. Ichigo gets punished really hard. And there's infinites in for two of the characters. We have Bleach Heat the Soul 2, which you think would fix a lot of shit, but it did not. There's a lot of shit that's still broken. Chad is still the worst character in the game. Bleach Heat the Soul 3, which improved a lot, and I do mean a lot. But it didn't do that much. And then Wave 4, which I do think is actually a really, really good 3D fighter. Now, as we get farther along, I do think it just actually gets worse. I haven't finished 6. I'll get around to it. So far, I think I'd place it like this. But of all of these, just to quickly go over them, if you played like a Budokai game or Tekken, it's very similar to that, except without Tekken's crazy inputs and without Budokai's kind of flashy speed. It's very limited, much more standstill. Blocking is much more important. But if we are to take all of them as a whole, I do think 4 is actually the best for a fighting game. Everybody feels balanced. A lot of them have different like win conditions, which for a lot of people that don't play fighting games, confusing statement. What's a win condition? You're just being the other person. Well, some are much more combo oriented, some are much more aerial, some are much more super setups, and there's a lot more win conditions difference in 4 and even 5 technically. The problem with 5 though is that there's like 4 or 5 characters that are easily, and it's not even like a question, are easily better than everybody else. You could turn them on for 5 seconds and it's creature defense, which I thought I played in 2023 at one point, but I checked the time and I checked the open folder, and I did open it to make it work. Never got past the screen, so I have no idea like why this is missing. Really cool reverse dungeon game where instead of you going through the dungeon, you're building it yourself. Very fun. Aerial Assault, decent little shoot 'em up. I don't think it's special, but hey. Juiced. Oh, real quick, Aerial Assault. The reason it's this low, like decent, it would have been up here. Second to last level, bullshit. But Juice, I wanted to like this. Like a lot of people told me it was a pretty good racing game, and I think I remember seeing a friend play it at one point. I think it's ass. I've played an hour and a half. I can't get into it at all. And I've tried to explore a lot of racing games in my time. This one's just ass to me. Pirates of Pirates of Darkwater. I think it's standard. I don't think it's anything special. Just beat 'em up in its own way. We have Jawbreaker, which is a nice little maze thing. Yeah, it was okay. It's similar to Pac-Man. It's on the Atari 2600. It was fun to play for the like hour, not even, but it's a decent little distraction. We have Initial D Special Stage, which I'm excited to get more into. I've only played like an hour, maybe even less of this, but it's a game we never got over here in America, and I feel like I'll have a lot of fun playing it. We have Brandish. I forget the subtitle for this one, but it's a PSP one, the Dark Age or something, Dark Sage, something, Dark something. But really fun so far. I've only played like an hour and a half. I need to get back to it, which is over 1,000 games at this point. But yeah, very solid. We have Piglet's Big Gamer, whatever it's called. This blew up online recently. I played it for the Retro Achievement set for the GameCube event, which that happened before it blew up. But it's still interesting that it did. I do think it's actually a pretty fun kids game. A lot of people think it's scary and it's tilting and it's weird, but it's just a nice kids game. GT Cube. I think this game is actually sick. Besides the part, there's not a lot of stages. The stages are, I think there's 4 of them, or maybe 5 at most. And it gets very boring very quick, but at the same time there's enough cars, there's enough stuff going on. I think it's diverse enough to kind of be up here. This Final Soldier, which I've only played a very minimum amount of, but it's up here for a reason. We get to beat out the Bleach Heat the Soul section, which I did not realize would actually be a thing here, but here we are. Hot Wheels Burning Rubber. This is GBA Hot Wheels. That's literally all I got for you. It's not that fun. Uh, you know, funnily enough, this is my second time recording this. I think I mentioned it. I don't fucking remember what this game is called. Tinkle? I don't freaking know. Um, really, really cool game, actually. I think this game, for an arcade game, is very special. It's a mix of Dig Dug and Pac-Man. And I actually really enjoy it. I'm not good at it. Let's get this really clear. I am not good at it at all, but I do think it's something cool. We have Silent Scope, which I'm gonna be brutally honest is the most mid game I've ever played. It has some cool moments and it's fun if you're really into that type of genre, but for me, not very interesting. We have Air Raid, which I played to completion on Retro Achievements, collected all the achievements. Um, it's fine. I think if you were to talk to me when I was going through it, or even right as I like started it, I'd probably put it at like D or like bottom of C. But having gone through the entire thing and learning a lot of like strats you can do, I do think this is one of those games you can easily just break. So it's definitely like here, which is funny. Atari 2600 is above three PSP games right there. More than that, but just in its own tier. And now we get to the actual like newer games, not the retro achievement oriented stuff, because for some reason save file types ended up loading like this. But I do want to point out there's some games that have been ignored that were released this year, uh, but there's a very good reason. I'm not going to get into it there. We have Angel Struck. I think this game is actually kick ass. I think Angel Struck is one of my favorite kind of vibe games that I played in 2024. Um, like for a roguelike, it's very simple. You can do the upgrades feel like they matter in like the early parts. Like not the upgrade, not the synergies, but the upgrades that you can pick feel like they matter, but not too much where you feel like you're getting super strong, just strong enough to maybe have an extra foot on the ground. The weapon types are pretty entertaining. The synergies, which I never got to fully explore all of them because there's a lot of them, were really, really sick once you could pull them off. Overall, Angel Struck, recommend wholeheartedly. We have Dash Survivors. I think it's better slightly than Angel Struck, but that happens to be because I like a few of the additives a lot more than I like the little synergies in Angel Struck. Now it's kind of unfair because I didn't get to fully explore Angel Struck, but Dash Survivor is special in its own way. Um, I do think being unfinished means it's never going to get S tier, but that's the way it be. We have Slime 3K. I'm playing this right now, but it's definitely one of the worst roguelikes I played in 2024. It has a lot of problems with level balance. Some of the abilities are pretty trash. Hitboxes are so bad, but it's still pretty good and high up here. It just needs a little bit of oomph to kick it up to top B. I don't think this game is ever getting out of B. I'll be clear right now. Some games, depending on updates, can move down or up or whatever. Like older games, of course, are not going to move. But like some of these games, if they get like a DLC or something, could move up or down. But I don't think Slime 3K is ever moving up out of a tier. It might move down out of this tier, but hey, Balatro. If if you've been around, you know how good this game is. If you've played it, you don't need to ask any questions along with those people. You know. We have Marvel Rivals, which I'm actually enjoying. It's a pretty kick-ass experience. I do like the team combat. I've been missing a lot of it in recent years. We might end up moving this up now that I look at. No, we're good. But I do think it's as somebody who played Overwatch casually, didn't get into the competitiveness. I do have a lot of fun going into some matches. Right now, it's really fun to play because you can just jump into match after match after match after match. But I do think a lot of the characters feel very wacky. And at the same time, while I don't necessarily mind a lot of wackiness, there's some characters that are so fucking far and away better than another character that does a similar thing. Maybe once a few more balance patches come in, I could definitely see this staying here prominently, but it's on the tipping point of just falling apart. Brotato, I actually loved this initially when I first played it, 2024. I think it's just here. It kind of falls apart eventually when you realize that you're kind of trying to scam the game because it's going to scam you, and it's too much of a game versus player versus enemy in a game sometimes, and that's kind of my big problem with it. It's just it feels too fuck you player, fuck you. Sparking Zero, I actually think this game was pretty kick ass. If you don't know, I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, and I was a huge Tenkaichi 3 fan, so it was really nice to see Sparking Zero come out. At the same time, I kind of don't really think it's super memorable as Tenkaichi 3, but that's because I'm not a kid anymore. So kind of unfair here, but we'll call it the way it is. RoboQuest, I think this is the best game I played in 2024. I could probably go on a whole thing about it, but it's gonna stick around for a long time because I love playing the game. I love the different classes. There's so much to explore. The guns are fun, besides like 3 of them. And as it gets more content, I think it's gonna stay up here. I think it's probably my game of the year, if that was a thing for 2024 of new games. My dog is now moving her bed. Very nice. Slay the Spire. I also think Slay the Spire was a very good game. A lot of people recommend me to play this over and over for years, and I finally did in 2024, and I happen to think it is fan-fucking-tastic. Tears of the Kingdom. I didn't play this on launch because why? And I'm kind of mid. I think this is like a telling of like I don't think it's mid. I do think it's a good game, but I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have kind of told me as a Zelda fan that it's time for me to let go of the series. It Don't get me wrong, I probably will check out like more of the games as they come out, but it'll be like years later. And I think that's something that's pretty tragic to me, is losing one of those game series that feels comfortable to be like, oh, that's coming out, that's a free buy for me. I'm always gonna buy and enjoy and just have fun. But I I think Tears of the Kingdom did a lot in just finally letting me know that you don't need to hold on to buy into a series that you're just not going to enjoy as much as other people. And I think it's good, but it's never going to break into my top 100 games, let alone probably top 200. Wild Frost, much more recent of playing. It's a lot like Slay the Spire. I do think there's a little bit of difference. I haven't played too much. I could definitely see him moving up, but as of right now, we're gonna move it to right here. I think that's fair. I think it's a lot easier, which is also a thing. We have Sun Kong, which was pretty popular when it came out. I had a lot of fun with it, but it's basically it. Also, man, I really don't like how this laid out, but hey, I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles on this. We're gonna move this up, but I do want to state that, like, as a game, I do think it's a little showboaty. There's a lot of substance that's missing, but it still feels nice and compact to play. There's some stuff that I think is a little weird about the game. I do think it's maybe like an 8 out of 10 if I were to give a number and nothing more, but hey, that's it on that one. I'm trying to avoid a lot of spoilers for these games so you can check them out. I'm going to organize these by actual play, and I think that's good. I love how I don't know. Like, you could interchange these and change my mind on these two. These are pretty tied. Balatro is perfect. I loved King Colossus this year. Really fun game if you haven't played it. Just enjoyable. Zelda-like clone. Very fun. RoboQuest is my favorite game. Brand new game of the year for me of 2024. RoboQuest is definitely up there. I love the game. Endless mode is going to be fun as I get farther in and more characters and more stuff. So yeah, those are 40 oddish games that I played for the first time in 2024. What was the new game that you played that you will not put down? I think that's a pretty cool question. RoboQuest is mine, of course. And maybe I'll end up making a tier list of every single game I played for an insane degree or something, that because there was like 200 I had to cut. Like I cut so many games, but I didn't want to be here for an hour because I'm tired. So that's it. I'll catch you.